Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast, and special early morning, late afternoon, yeah, late afternoon, evening to Anders, who's been with us in the near staffing side. Um, we beat the computer. It fought us. Badly. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is that stinger info you just saw. I've updated the text on it, and now we need to export it to the system so you can see it again. So I made the movie. Now we need to open up from anywhere. I need to find the whole movie. I think it's in here as well. I don't know. Let's open up the area. It might remember. Yeah, that's the one. I think so. We can use Premiere, but I do have Premiere later on here as well. So one of the that and that goes up. There's the mouse. Greetings from Scotland, greetings, Anders. Good to see you. Full spots. Alright, so we've got Premiere loading up. 40 seconds to get it. Looks like I haven't opened it since the last update. I'm able to load third-party plugins. You don't have access rights or folder name and such a event. We'll deal with that later. Full screen. Did not want to that. This is not ultra wide. Ultra wide. Don't need to extend this here. Just like I just told, because we weren't using the AI for this. So learn more. We hit X. I guess there's like one new feature that's up there. Yeah. Okay. Normally there's like a tab all the way down. I don't know if we can have it. So unknowns. 12 months ago, 5 months ago, last year. I don't think it's an unknown. So we'll find the product in the folder. Let's see. Here's that works. Nothing inputs. Love our picture. Just like vertical. Vertical video. It's going on Twitter. So we used reports. Okay, so that's it. Public videos and assets. So the actual video let's go through and rearrange all of this. Yeah, car trade. Car trade was fun. 115 business. I could take current one and splice the one on top of it, but I'd rather export from scratch. self-reliance. I don't know if those overall videos I still have to catch up on them. Pictures. Server. Publish videos and projects. What could be better? Or we were just there. Scan software. Test it. Use assets. What time machine? This is publish videos, completed videos. That's what I'm looking for. What video? Projects. Oh, there it is. Thank you. It's depending on the now. Okay, two. It's still 2024. That's probably a reason to start doing it. And we'll see what happens. And while we're waiting on that, let's do downloads. Copy this with the others. Copy. Back to the network. Okay, now it's opening in Premiere Beta. It's going to get you that as Premiere Beta. It's also synced because it's been a minute since I opened it as well. Let's go to share. New AI-powered object master. So that sounds quite good. Nice. This AI is a smarter algorithm like they were using before. This one did not complain about the audio filtering. It does give us a list of what's needed. So that welcome to the tutorial. Interactive tutorial. Oh, that's pretty. Create caption automatically. It's not really all that new, but it looks like, you know, since it looks like it's faster, it's the same as the generation tool. And it's evolution. That would be cool too. If we're done, it loads up our project. Update that. So the beta is actually older than the original. That's fun. But where is the file configuration? Which is the project was saved from a previous version and must be converted. The original project will be not modified. Okay, so that's why I made up the year number one. So it's 2025. Okay, there we go. And then I will try to share this window so you guys aren't listening to me narrate it. So to share screen, I won't be able to hear it. I'll turn that. Well, maybe you won't be able to hear it. But this interface, you might be able to hear it. This is a window. See them? So let's make sure that to get into the project, and then I'll share that window so people can see it. I don't see you coming forward. Looking forward. Where did you put it? If I open it from the middle button. What there it is. Loading media. Look, it's gathered to the wings of this pile, so that's the problem. Minimize that. Can't see the loading media. There we go. And that's looking for everything, so I'm going to tell it where everything is. So look at the assets folder, so we'll click that. Assets. So, yeah, well, how about that one? Do that. It's not the right folder. It says still file not found. That's what the assets. The project assets, that's why. Look at it and start on this stuff. The folders on it off at the top. Test on YouTube. Okay. 2013. And I've done 14, 16. So either took me 3 minutes notice or YouTube is lagging pretty bad. Let's see. So it's in the folder that says I've searched for it. Look at it again. From the project. Versus. It's that much project assets. No, I don't think we have to even need that particular graphic. Like, let's cancel that one. That's one I'm replacing. So we do need all of the music. We do need these other things. Private assets. Okay, so that one we know exactly where it is. New conflicts. Private assets. Oh, done. So one thing we're missing is the video, but we're replacing the video, so it's fine. Okay, it's spinning. Let's pull everything up for a second. I don't want to continue that way. And then just pop it up. And then just put it on. I'll do it on that skills notebook. This is what one I can put in there. One. Fifty that out, so we all these things in there. Left me just there. Turn screen, spinning. There. So, this highway compared to you driving at a whopping 300 foot. That's not close. If you look back, then 300 should be more than sufficient to push you down the road, even in the good. Even going fast. And then going down the mountain, the battery still, if they have to leave, push that power to the grid, just like pumped hydro, bringing it over, just grabbing more storage. Pretty cool. We've seen wireless charging, we've seen in-road charging, but we haven't seen anything like the world's first dynamic wireless charging on 1.5 to 1 depth of road, or vehicles are able to charge at up to 300 kilowatts. So I'm guessing the distinction between in-road and this is wireless. But is in wireless on the road before, or is that the above the like the transmitters? Conductor and inductor, he's in both wireless and unwired above the track. This will be the first working copy of email. We know that Mission Companies is supposed to have done a bunch of it, but the editing of it. So actually it's more lightly loaded, lightly modified battery electric vehicle, semi-truck, a box van, passenger car, and a bus. Drove across a mile-long stretch of France's A10 outside of Paris in a real-world test of new wireless charging systems for homes. the result was new wireless charging tech being co-developed by Electron and Wireless and Vincent. The company name is Wireless. If you want anybody to be able to find capacity more than 300 kilowatts of peak power and more than 200 kilowatts of average power to the vehicles as they drove. In case you missed it, it's nearly as fast as the very latest Tesla supercharger. No, it's nearly as fast as the very latest deployed Tesla superchargers. Possibly. There's only 325, and then you've got the V4 natives. You've got at least 2 or 3 of them that are pushing 500 kilowatts. Something like that. The imprecision is not good. They know, they see. So it's a little weird that they don't know those short circuits for other thing out. I don't know. But without wires and lights on. That's true though. Does it matter if it's not 500 kilowatts? If you're driving, you're not using 500 kilowatts. That's right. If you're not using that, so you can recharge it. You guys take 15 minutes, it'll take an hour. If you're on a long road trip, it'll take an hour to recharge. But then you're full, and you can then jump the gap to the next in-road charger. 3 hours later, 2 hours later, depending on the speed. Easy dispensing. By deploying high-speed in-road wireless charging in strategic locations along the transit buses route route to Tel Aviv, Israel, and parts of pilot project, they were able to reduce the size of the bus's batteries from 400 kilowatt hours to about 45 kilowatt hours. Oh my goodness, that's tiny. And remember, I'm driving around a 100 kilowatt hour nameplate battery, which is really 85 kilowatt hours usable. So that bus is running around half of the battery that I use for a level 7 passenger plane. A 90% reduction in battery size, weight, and material needed without compromising the time. Yeah, because you only need to be able to do what you need to do off route and away from the depot, and be able to set the charge while on the road. So they probably still want something a little bigger, get large enough gaps, and if the bus isn't from the beginning of the charge to the end of the charge. Maybe going back to 100 kilowatt hours, but down to 400 kilowatt hours. Nice. I also don't know the size of the bus. That's different too. I'm taking the American Transit bus or American Coach buses, just because that's when I hear bus. That's why I think 23, 28 foot to 45 foot monster. Let's see. No word yet on the next step for this high-speed wireless charging tech. Like reading that the battery electric vehicles of all sizes can coexist on a single stretch of road, charging road, and gain a meaningful number of miles of range in just a minute or two of driving. That's the good part. If it's only a mile, and you're driving 60 miles an hour, you're over it in 1 minute. So there needs to be more. Meaningful number of miles of range in a minute or two of driving. The groups have proven that technology is at least potentially useful, and you can't isolate this. Since you can't isolate this magnetism, we work in snow, ice, or in the rain without getting operator drivers at risk of slip and fall, or exposing the chargers to situations that could lead to excessive corrosion. I don't know about that part of it. Excessive corrosion may just be depend on the surface you've embedded them in. Comment that doesn't work, it says. Gain a meaningful number of miles of range in just a minute or two of it. Is that what it is? I think it's going to have graphics for freezing whenever it may be. might need 100 kilowatts to maintain 100 kilometers per hour, or 62 miles per hour, and 150 kilowatts at the faster speed common on U.S. highways. With 200 kilowatts average charging power, you need to wire 50% highway miles, slow trucks, and 35% highway faster ones, which is expensive, but not unreasonable, because if you only need the big batteries for the long drives on the highway, and it can do slightly more than the trucks need, and they're slightly charging every minute that they're on the highway. And as long as they are on the highway long enough to cover their local loop, if local loops have stuff too, or if they when they get where they're going, they can plug in, then that's good enough. Because you would want it to go faster, so they have small batteries, yeah, or so they could even get less coverage either of those. But and then it's contended with the truck. And everybody else will be sufficiently covered. So many people do that for everybody on the road. Because if you need more capacity per Texas road versus a 2 lane country road, you have more cars on. So at 1 megawatt, you only need to wire up 10% of 1 megawatt range. You only need to wire up 10% highways for slow trucks. Not bad, and that's much more easy. And you can do much a lot with cheaper. Varying wires is sexy, but overhead that's what the catenary wires overhead are cheap and well proven to clean and dust. The problem with the overhead wires, though, is you've got that little follow hood that you have on the buses and the trucks, and then with passenger cars on it, they have to really reach up there. Either a telescoping collector, or I guess an American large SUV, you can just put a whip up there, but not so with the sports sedans. Let's see. The US has about 50,000 miles of interstates, similar amount on primary and non-interstate highways. At a made up $1 million a mile, it costs $10 billion to wire 10% of our main highways to catenaries. We can reduce the battery cost by $100,000 per truck. Do battery trucks cost that much? I don't think so. The battery costs $100,000. I would Tesla be able to sell the long range for $200,000 to $300,000. I don't know that they're still at a third of the cost of the equivalent of that. But wires last a lot longer than trucks, so break even is actually more like 50,000 trucks. Oh, okay. I'm tracking out. Not $100,000 trucks. 100,000 units of trucks. The wires last a lot longer than trucks, so break even is actually more like 50,000 trucks. And smaller battery pack means the truck can carry more payload, and more payload, or sorry, a payload is what it takes. So economic break even is really bad. It's a no-brainer, but no company can do it alone. Musk is already about 500 miles range. Driving lights and use the intakes the government actually. I don't think so, because they have the 500 miles for several reasons. First, is that the driver should never be waiting on the truck. The truck should always be waiting on the driver based on their legal limits. So, right now, without wireless charging of the roads, you need a 500-mile range to ensure that you've covered every legal scenario in the US. You need a 30-minute recharge to cover the legally mandated rates. not brakes on the slowing down, but time off work on the clock. So I'm sure if you put this in the road and in a significant coverage area of where they're operating, you'd be glad to get a put this much around board. And then they can make the battery smaller, make the truck smaller. But that's it. Truck smaller, so it's truck less expensive, make the battery on the truck smaller. I don't know if that looks like the evidence accurate enough. It is an opinion, but I don't, it's not anchored well. So I think that comment had more to it. I told you there was more to it. It felt weird to display it that way. So if my name is actually Scotty now. Buying wires is sexy, but over at my wife cheap and given in the buses. I was afraid on trains because they don't get shipped around as much. I would love to be much higher too. The US has about 50,000 miles in the States. So the primary denominator for rising. Oh, that was also coming. I thought it was okay. I don't know really we can do it. What? Did they integrate them into the article or was the whole end of it his comment? Oh yeah, that was all his comment. I thought it was one I thought it was there. The electric stick that goes on. Then you meet that the very same segment of highway that's used to test the virus induction electrify is being used to test real charging, 500 kilowatt. Half the cost, easily maintained, and supported by some European standards. The issue becomes how many trucks can charge at that speed on a given segment of the road. This could turn into tens of megawatts in a mile, which would make the infrastructure considerations much more difficult. The more likely scenario, the infrastructure with hundreds of kilowatts speed would vastly reduce charging speeds when there's a high concentration of trucking road. I think that's still fine. If they have to slow down if you have like a traffic jam, then you're not moving all that fast. As long as it's able to put in more power than the truck needs to move down the road, the truck starts. Implementing overhead wire on the freeway for semi trucks is one of the obvious solutions that will never happen because our capitalism tests but need any solution that requires flood protection. I mean, proven wrong. I mean, we'll do it because it's a profit. The question is, will we do it as public good like we do with the highway, or will we do it as the local power company when the audit is inherently different? And where will people a bit more on road with funding, public infrastructure say in Europe, transit system that exists? Right. Rail isn't the solution to everything. Rail is good. Properly managed rail is even better. We don't have that. So, freight rail exists in the U.S., though that was relatively big, just incredibly and deliberately slow. And yes, it is. So folks will blame the unions for why rail sucks in the States. Some of their arguments as these aren't helping, but you can't place it squarely on protecting jobs that could be more reliable. Because a lot of the other reasons why it sucks are extracting too much profit that you can't reinvest in your own stuff. And for maintenance and so on and so forth. So, while there is a little bit of protectionism with the union, it's not official. Although, what is it? The shipping, we talked about shipping on the ports, the maritime ports. One of them made comment about, we were talking about Chinese, I won't say Chinese, we were talking about Chinese development early this year, late last year, and we told you about how whatever it was they did could not have passed here because you need the guy whose job it was to open the gate and the guy whose job it was to check in the trucks so you could do the automated truck check in. And the Chinese demo we were looking at, it wasn't part of it. We were looking at the technology, but like, yeah, the truck drove in, the NFC tagged itself in, or something to that effect. QR code, okay. It was an automated check-in. And then you have one operator servicing multiple trucks and multiple ships. It's a presence situation where like a couple miles down the road and they're doing all of this. So I'm not saying moving the protections, but some of it was seemingly excessive to the point where they try something new. But again, that's not all just that. When you've got the corporation itself not doing anything, not reinvesting in stuff. That sounded both a good thing, but I know what happened sometimes. It's the same thing it does to me on the Tesla show, where it finds the right microphone, but it does something weird with the audio. Let me come over here and sample it myself. Oh, Premiere is still spinning. I think we broke Premiere. Oh wow, I am so far behind on the stream. Let's go back to live and unmute. Okay, that sounds all right to me. I bet you if I go back a little bit further to where it was, it's gonna sound like I'm in a fish tank or something. Wow. Wow. Thank you, Anders. That was wow. I'm gonna start working on moving more of this into the device we have over here that's doing the video now. That was terrible. Wow. Okay, so we've got freight rail exists in the U.S. Network is deliberately slow, and tearing up the freeways to electrify from beneath does not require collective action? Question mark. Much better. Excellent. Thank you, Anders. I appreciate you catching that for me. Whew. So tearing up the freeways doesn't necessarily require collective action, and you don't have to tear them up. What you do is at the next maintenance cycle, you embed them. And if it makes sense to embed them early, then the cost will cover itself. But I don't see the cost adding up, except for on the better built roads. Like if it's a major corridor and you built it with concrete instead of the budget asphalt, then you might want to risk the double investment. But if you're on a segment of road that's only going to last 3-4 years anyway, just get it on its next cycle. Pretty easy. But at the same time, installing overhead wires, I don't think that's going to be the way to go. Again, because it won't fit in every form factor. Oh man, we just lost. Oh, we just lost X. Come back, X. I don't want to start a new space. Reconnect. Skip. Unmute. Okay, cool. All right, we got X back. Woo. I don't know what happened there. Uh, and like I said earlier in the spool up for this, the tablet is in a boot loop again, so I'm gonna have to call support and get them to exchange it for me or something because there's no way that's software. Or maybe we can get a log out of it and find it is software and find out what's wrong with it. Let's see. We're not going to have steel straps on our roads, contacting overhead lines like electric buses. This is all inductive charging. I suspect energy transfer rates with varies with distance and will slow. Oh, that's another good question right there. Is trucks do sit up so much higher than cars typically. So unless they squat while they get on the highway, like the Model S and X do, or can do. I've set mine not to do that. I just set it to low always. Will the pickup trucks charge faster than the semi trucks? Assuming they haven't been, you know, what my wife calls jungle trucked up. Or would the sports sedan, so you got a roadster, would it be able to charge faster than the semi? Because it should be like eating the pavement, basically. It's a good question. 300 kilowatt peak for a split second, 200 kilowatt average. Out of 350 kilowatts installed, a large truck with 4 square meter receivers installed on its underside. From 900 spools of copper under the road. Yes, it can be done, but burying tons of copper in the road is not financially feasible. It doesn't have to be copper. It can be aluminum or any other conductive metal. This guy says you're not thinking strategically. Place these on long climbs just to get maximum benefit out of minimal infrastructure. So these small battery trucks are useful in the mountains. Ah, yes. Suddenly tear up miles of road, install expensive copper, add the needed infrastructure to power said copper, and replace the road on top of it. Yeah, okay, good plan. You don't have to do it right away. The road isn't permanent. It has a maintenance cycle. Unless the climb is so long, you expect people to otherwise need to stop and charge halfway up. I don't see how this improves efficiency. Charge rate and use rate are independent. Maybe it's more proof. Yeah, it is a proof of concept. They basically said that. Interesting. All right, so Premiere is toast. I don't want to force close it, but I think we have to. And then we might as well, I'm sure it's already running, open up Adobe Cloud and update everything. That's Microsoft Cloud. There's Adobe Cloud. 10 updates. All right, do them all. No check, just do them all. Scheduled updates. I didn't know there was such a thing. All right. Import previous settings. Oh, wow, I got some version swaps. So let's go ahead and quit the other copy Premiere. And we don't need PowerPoint running anymore. Quit that too. Continue. Continue. Okay. Oh, there is a version swap. So Photoshop 26 to Photoshop 27, Illustrator 29 to Illustrator 30. Why not just do the last one instead of doing the step? And then the beta 26. Oh, they've pulled a Apple, and they're doing the year for the versions. Huh? I can't really blame them. All right, so now let's open up a new tab. No, let's not do that. Let's go to inside EVs. Enough already. It's time to give up on the 2020 Tesla Roadster. Well, I mean, they claim it's going to be end of this year that we'll see something, which would make it the 2026 Roadster at the earliest, right? So, hello, Makato. Did you have a good nap? Where am I? I had a dream. I was not here, but now I'm here with you, the boring man. Where's my mommy? Hi. Hello, Chop Frog. Did you use my water? You may use my water. Bless Chop Frog. Say hi. Say hi. You're not actually awake, are you? Just booting up, huh? Yeah. Okay, so I did a photo the other day. Let me find it. Put the microphone back up so you guys can hear me. I did a photo yesterday that I thought was kind of fun. Let's go over here. All right, and over here, and then it's going to spin some more because why not? And there it goes. There we are. So we're going to share this tab instead. Look at that. Guess who's who? Who's that, Mako? Yeah, who's that? Is that Teddy? Is that Mako? Yeah. All right, so I want this tab instead. There we go. So then we've got the electric Corolla. I saw that a bunch of times. I didn't put it in the book because as soon as I found out it was a concept, I didn't care anymore. As we said last week about me and concepts, GM and Toyota concepts do not hold any water with me, other than the styling. And even then, you got to squint to see that on the real car. Expert predicted an EV sales collapse. It's already started. It's possible. Diesel meets its EV. The diesel PHEV won't judge you for not plugging it in. I always did think that was a better choice to do diesel PHEVs than hydrogen, for instance. But hydrogen should definitely be a PHEV too, because then you don't need as much infrastructure. And the car is already mostly electric. Or all electric, but it's already mostly a battery electric vehicle than it is anything else. The fuel cell is just slow. Let's see. It's called radiation. LA woman sits in charging Tesla. And then her friend in healthcare says she shouldn't. What? Are we bringing that up again? It's been debunked so many times. People would go in there with the equipment to measure this stuff and find, oh, look, there's nothing to be concerned with. So this is clearly their TikTok series, and we're going to ignore that one. You got to pay or show them anything. Man goes to Tesla showroom, and he gets a 48-hour demo. Oh, it's a question mark. Yeah, they do those, and they're fun, and they sell cars. It doesn't come with any mud flaps. Man buys a Tesla, and then the weather gets bad. This isn't just a Tesla thing. It's most vehicles don't come with mud flaps or mud guards or anything to that effect, unless they are going to need them for liability reasons, because they interfere with the ability to meet their aerodynamics targets. They cost extra. People break them. They cost extra. They take time to install. They cost extra. So yeah, most cars today, you have to buy them extra, or your dealer adds them for you to make more profit. Take over immediately. Man updates his Tesla. Then he puts it into Mad Max mode. That's one thing I did want to bring up, is that I've heard that and seen on some people's that the Mad Max, not Mad Max Road necessarily, but the latest V14 can recover from takeover immediately, like without you actually doing it. Corolla EV, skipping it, like I said, concept car. It's kind of pretty. Yes. Oh, you want to speak? Here, you can speak. What do you want to say? Are you gonna blow them raspberries again? Are you gonna blow them raspberries again? Nobody gives me the raspberries. Only one man dare give me the raspberries. Inside the company building absurdly quick fan-powered cars. Used BMW iXs are a screaming EV deal. China and the US are racing to deploy robo-taxis, with neither having a clear lead. Oh yeah? Edmunds is sick of the Dodge Charger Daytona EV problems. Let's get into that one. This wild EV sports car built by former Tesla executives, limited to just 150 units. And the popular models of Model Y and the Ioniq S. Oh yeah? All right, so let's get this microphone back in my face. She says no. Let's see. All right, more of their TikTok stories. Florida woman switches to a Tesla, then she notices something unique about other drivers. So that's where we noticed that. Oh, we talked about all these last week. I'm gonna skip them. This Toyota BZ is anything but boring. Is it even based on the BZ4X, or is it just part of the BZ series? Tesla light bars, glued-on light bars are falling off, so here comes another recall. Tesla's had a long glue. Some good luck, some bad luck. Especially glue near their glass. For donors, your phone app just got a lot better. That's good to hear. We'll hear the highlights on that one. Kia EV4 sedan delayed until further notice in the US. Yeah, if it wasn't going to be built here, that makes sense. And Musk mocked the AWS outage. Then the My Tesla app stopped working. Yeah, it's never good to be boastful about that sort of thing. 0 fatalities, 0 accidents. Toyota wants software to make cars safer, but it's not there yet. And it probably never will be. But if it's better than a human, then what can we say? Lucid, mid-sized Model Y competitor, everything we know. Oh, that's right, because the gravity is Model X. Hey, where are we bouncing off to? Enough already. The layoffs are coming to the EV sector. Everything's on screen. Why Scout's new cars will have good old buttons. That's a good question. Can the buttons be done cheaper than on screen these days? I watched a guy put his head unit back to knobs and buttons on a video yesterday, and it was quite involved. And I don't know that it would be cheaper than a screen, not just because his system still had a screen. Cybertruck police cars are here, and of course they're going to Vegas first. I think we touched on that on Tesla Live Show. Japan showed off the future of cars, minus one crucial detail. BYD's Racco? This electric K car will lead BYD's Japanese Blitz. Updated. Oh boy. Shots fired. Kia's funky PV5 electric van just blew past its official range with a full load. Good to hear. Toyota bet right on hybrids. Its timing on EVs may pay off next. Really? I mean, yeah, they did bet right on hybrids, but then they lingered for so long. Like, it's their fault that EVs aren't more affordable now. Because they had the opportunity and the technology and the connections to make it happen. And they chose not to. Honda's tiny EV hot hatch pretends it has a gas engine. Are we back to the noises again? The Mitsubishi Elvance concept has 4 motors and can power a camping trailer. Good on them. I was glad to see they're not giving up on EVs or plugins in their case. Mazda's X Coupe concept looks like a modern RX-8 with a plug-in hybrid rotary. You can't give up on rotary, can you, Mazda? Although a range extender is not a bad use for that technology. Toyota Corolla goes electric, and then some. Don't pull this stuff down. Your sister already made a mess of my room. I don't need you to do it too. If we have to, Tesla Cybercab might come with a steering wheel. After all, Robin was talking about jurisdictions that require that, and we discussed it a bit on the Tesla Live Show. Watch it there. Lucid's new Tesla Model Y fighter. Lucid plans to beat Tesla self-driving cars with NVIDIA's help. Why are you dancing? Dancing. Nissan Sakura. Extending solar roof could add a surprising amount of EV range. Yes, it could. That was always the problem with EV onboard solar charging, is that it has to fit in a parking space, which limits the amount of collection space. But if it can expand, it can change that. Slate Truck will get Tesla supercharger access. Was that actually a fear? All you gotta do is put in an export and talk to Tesla, and they let you on board. Oh, snacks! Thank you. We got various cheeses and specialty crackers. We've got cinnamon Triscuits for winter holiday, and we've got some kind of special pretzel townhouse crackers. I'm all about pretzels. And are you ready to see mommy? She says, "Oh, you got food in front of you. I think I'll go for the food." Here, you want this piece of cheese for the road? Want one for the road? Have fun, baby. All right, so we're gonna go over these real quick, and then we're gonna go take them to the shops because they said they wanted to go to the shops. So let's get started. Screen trying to turn itself off there. We'll share this tab instead. And I'll try one of these cinnamon Triscuits without cheese. Wow. Okay, I like it. At first, it tastes sweet, but then it's just a regular Triscuit after that. See how it does with cheese in just a moment. And do it with Colby Jack. Experts predicted an EV sales collapse, and it's already started. Jim Farley was right. Last month, Ford CEO predicted that the market share of electric cars would be cut in half once the federal tax credit for clean vehicles met its untimely demise on September 30th. Okay, so before we get into the rest of this premise, we have to look back at England, the UK, when they canceled theirs. It went down for a little bit, and now it's stronger than ever. So right now, we're looking at two things. Beginning of a quarter, and a lot of the sales were pulled forward for the end of the tax credit. The question now is, what's it going to look like second quarter of next year? This quarter is going to be messed up. It's either going to be really good or really bad because of the pull forward. And then on top of all of this, we've got the economy has been shooketh. So we're going to have to wait and see what that does to people's ability to purchase a car. Because the numbers still work in the favor of the EV as far as operating costs, maintenance costs, and the purchase cost was closer, and now it's not. But not everybody are qualified already, so we'll have to wait and see what that does. Because the ones that didn't qualify, they were still selling. People liked them, and now nobody has that advantage. So we'll see what becomes of that. But I do think that there's going to be a shakeup this month of either this quarter of either just reduction upon reduction, or where it will plus up. I don't know how it's going to plus up, but it could. I don't think it's going to plus up before next quarter. The battery powered dropped significantly year-over-year basis from over 8% in October. Last time EVs made up 5% of U.S. vehicle sales was early 2022. Plug-in hybrids got hit hard too. Yeah, they still qualified for most of them, so makes sense. So you've got the lack of bonus money, and then you've got the political tribalism, and then you've got the messaging change that went on where the full news, full story, full facts aren't out there anymore. Although, in my paper I turned in for school the other day, the URL had changed, but the content hadn't changed. I was using I used NASA Kids for something on climate change, and it was still there. And then the other one I used was a independent group, so they obviously weren't affected. That's interesting. I think that I would go with well, it's not actually bad at all. I was gonna say I think I would go with some kind of a dip or a cream for the cinnamon, but after a couple chews, the cinnamon sugar does work. Importantly, though, the massive rush to buy electric cars since July has also resulted in an EV volume hangover. Yeah, because it was originally December, and then the meddlers went to meddle, as they are wont to do, and meddled. 121 comments. Oh boy. I want to see Musk and Tesla lose sales bigly. Elon's responsible for the EV downturn started in October with $5 tax credit. What? Downturn started at least 2 years ago. Blame the man responsible for EV adoption. Okay, this sounds like it's going to be a low quality discussion on their part. I'm not claiming to be an EV expert, but I do read these articles. I bought an EV Equinox a few months ago because the tax credit was expiring. My wife was on the fence and agreed to go drive one. Very nice with lots of extras we normally would not have bought. We both love to drive it. It's very smooth and quiet and responsive. We were able to charge at home. I can even put some extra solar power into it depending on the day. It's probably the nicest vehicle I've ever owned. A friend of ours bought a Hyundai EV, which they love, and another friend owns a Tesla, which they also love. I doubt we ever buy an ICE vehicle again. I'm looking forward to purchasing an EV truck at some point. So, let's get into the politics of it all. Don Quixote and his railing against windmills was once again on the steam and hydraulic power for our battleships. By battleships, I do mean our aircraft carriers. The electromagnets and electric powered catapults, unless they're built wrong, should be lower maintenance, better use of resources, and you can launch a wider variety of aircraft from little old school Predator drones all the way up to the latest fighter bomber stealth jets. So, not that you couldn't before with the other one, but the amount of stress that you get with one size fits all on the airframe, you can dial it correctly with the electromagnets. Same way that my car can do 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds, but it can also rock its way through a school zone very politely, or on classic smart summon, dumb summon as the spokesperson calls it. It can do that too without mowing people down. So there's an example of that. And then on the hydraulic side, hydraulic is what you need for that, for like elevators and stuff. It's understood, but his excuse was that, you can beat it with a hammer, and it keeps going. No, the kind of precision hydraulics and steam you need on that application is just as robust or more so than you need for electric in that case. And so they're pushing the same thing on cars and beautiful clean coal. There's no such thing as clean coal, and definitely isn't beautiful. But well, he doesn't control the auto industry. He could put his thumb on it, but he can't get us to waste billions of dollars on old technology for our war equipment somehow. Anyway, that was more about new tech versus old tech. Those people saying they wouldn't go back to ICE. That's what got me on that. So it's going to be expensive when he's out of the way on remodernizing our military. That is some sharp cheddar. Yep, so I said about pull forward in sales. And I'll go ahead and not pull up the rest of those because the quality of the conversation was low. And we'll just look at this headline. Ford CEO, China can put us all out of business. I'm sure we discussed that before. And yes, they can. And they might if you guys don't wake up. Motorcycle news. Is your motorcycle helmet as safe as you think it is? Maybe not. Interesting. Man-eater partners with Can-Am as power sports becomes more integral to hunting. Interesting. Can-Am has some pretty nice EVs. I do believe they bought Polestar, right? Not Polestar. Polestar Livewire. No, not Livewire. That was Harley. What did they buy? Pulsar. Polaris. There we go.
No, not Polaris either. There was an EV. It started with a P. They bought them. So that's good. And then Livewire right here. Livewire is bringing 2 new models to the motorcycle show. What do you think? Well, bring them to the show and then start selling them. Come on. Honda's turbocharged V3 teaser video will have you anxiously awaiting its reveal. Nah, it won't. It's a gas car. Gas motorcycle. Not interested. All right. Share this tab instead. Close that. Close that. Edmonds is sick of the Dodge Charger Daytona EV problems. Daytona Fasonio. Feronius. Edmonds is midway through a 1-year review of owning a Dodge Charger Daytona EV. Software gremlins have led to a lot of problems that ruin the experience, and the reviewers say that they are sick of Dodge's electric muscle car. Should have got a Model 3 Performance for less money. But Edmonds didn't have that choice because their job is they show you all of these things. But as a consumer, Tesla Model 3 Performance or any of the electric trucks would have got you better performance. Any of the electric trucks. Any of the electric trucks available in America at a retail establishment, I should say, because now that I think about it, those Chinese trucks that you get in a box, they would not outperform the Dodge Charger. But Rivian, any Rivian, Cybertruck, Model X, Model Y, all the Chevys, any of the truck, even the Volkswagen ID probably may not have been as fast, but definitely the Volkswagen ID Buzz would have outperformed this thing in so many other metrics. Okay, let's see. The rough kind of launch, not in a cool kind of way that ends up with a burnout. I can't do one of those yet. But the nobody wants to buy one. None of the ones who did are having problems way. Oh, and the ones who did are having problems anyway. Edmonds recently published an update of its ownership experience with a few of its long-term cars. It used that opportunity to give a rather scathing look at the reliability of Mopar's flagship EV muscle car. In fact, Edmonds went as far as to say that it is sick of the Dodge Charger Daytona EV, and here's why. I will watch that when we get back from the store. First sign of trouble is what we've all heard before, far and wide, the curious case of intentional unintended acceleration. Make it make sense. Intentional unintended acceleration. Edmonds experienced Dodge's so-called drive-by brake feature that caused the car to continue to accelerate when nobody was touching the pedal. Like creep? A lot of electric cars have creep. They don't need it, but they've got it. Dodge's official response was that the feature was meant to prevent the car from becoming stuck should the accelerator pedal fail, and use the brake to stop the car. What? Did they rename creep and make it intermittent? I'll have to watch the video on that. That doesn't sound right. It sounds like creep, but the fact that it's confusing sounds like it doesn't always do it. And we've had by wire now for, let's call it 1990. We've had it available to the consumers. We've had it longer than that in real life. So we've had over 30 years of by wire. If you can't get it to work now, you need to stop selling anything until you learn how to make that properly redundant. On the Tesla and so many others, they do it with multiple sensors, at least 2, usually 3. And on the ones with 3, if 2 out of the 3 sensors do not agree, then you assume that your system has failed. And of the 3, one of them is inverse of the others. So the others will read 0 to 100, and the other will read 100 to 0. So if suddenly they're all reading 100, that's an impossible reading. or if they're all reading, I guess they would all read 50%, but they would do it a certain way. But they'd also have to travel to 50%. But either way, if the numbers don't make sense, then they assume the pedal's dead. So obviously Dodge is not using the 3-sensor system. And the folks that use the 2-sensor system, I don't know what their backup is, but clearly Dodge doesn't have any faith in that either, assuming they're using a 2-sensor system. I guess they could be using a cable and a throttle body, but I don't even think they're that backwards. Ooh. Are they trying to bring back the stuck throttle body cable situation? Do you got to lube it just like them? That is something that brings you back into the dealer to get it maintenance, because not everybody does that anymore. I hope not. That's dangerous. Anyway, so nobody's touching the pedal and the car's moving. Dodge says that it was meant to prevent the car from becoming stuck. If the car's stuck, turn on the flashers and push it. Put a neutral, roll down the hill. I don't know. Here's an excerpt from Edmund's original report on the accelerator issue that highlights even more bugs. I was pulling out onto a thoroughfare street from a strip mall parking lot when warning lights appeared on the Charger's instrument panel for the stability control, frontal collision warning, and regenerative braking, and more. There was also a short-lived message. It might have been something about the forward collision warning system, that the car would be in low power mode. Okay, so turtle mode is different than a random creep. There's also latency in the powertrain. What? Why? In a gas car, that might not seem unheard of. Yeah, exactly. And the Charger EV is trying to mimic the experience. Yeah, okay. But in EV, one of the simple joys is the instant torque you get when mashing the accelerator pedal. It's a small blip, but enough to feel clumsy. But above all, the software bugs are plaguing the driving experience. Edmund says at one point it couldn't power down the car. That's not good either. My first Volt had some issues with the computer doing weird stuff. I would have to just leave it for 30 minutes and it would come back and be normal. But I don't think that involved the powertrain. It was just everything else. And the backup camera, which, as we've learned with Tesla and Ford, that the backup camera was enough that the GM should have recalled that thing several times. But they stopped using that tech the year after I got it. So I don't think no, maybe once I had a similar issue with the second Volt, but anyway, back to this car. Edmund says at one point he couldn't power off the car. Charger EV eventually shut off in the hot sun and needed to be towed to the dealership. The service department replaced the car's 12-volt battery and couldn't replicate the problem. Okay, well, we've seen from everybody else's 12-volt battery that it can make the car really weird. So I'll give them a mild pass on that. The car even bricked itself mid-video with an error service the electric vehicle system. Which one? Service the electric vehicle system displaying on the gauge cluster. But after putting the car in park and power cycling it, the car started up without an issue. Ooh. It's not a laptop or a cell phone. Rebooting it shouldn't. I mean, rebooting it to fix problems, cool, but it shouldn't. Wow. These are problems that could maybe we could maybe forgive if we actually like the thing. Said electric cars, Clint Simone. Wow. Edmunds isn't the only one with complaints about the Charger Daytona EV. Owners have reported numerous issues with software, driving experience, and service. There's a surprisingly high failure rate reported of 12-volt batteries, just like Edmunds experienced, resulting in lockouts or the so-called red wrench of doom. Screen's off down on the X chat. Okay, but we're still there. But speaking of broken things, I remember to call Samsung up about that tablet. Clear and open communications. Issues with the Daytona. Good luck to them. We do know they've gone made to order because people weren't buying them. And then you had people like me pointing out that you get so much more car for less money, or a truck for the same money. Dodge killed EV Banshee Halo car. Oh, so that's gone. The Deltona for Somnius, like the neighbor style Banshee's gone. Jeep, Dodge, and Fiat and Ram are going back to gas. Are they ready for what comes after? No, they're not. And it's a Fiat. I was about to say, you blame Volkswagen for this? It's a Fiat 500. Our Charger Daytona EV charging test did not go well. Charger Daytona EV takes on BMW i5 M60. One has a clear edge. The i5 M60, obviously. I don't even know the specs on that car, but since it is meant to be a performance machine, and what we saw from everyone else, there's no reason to believe that the M60 had trouble with the Dodge. I'm not going to try to argue against anyone's bad experience with the car because it's clear there are odd things going on. I had my RT since June, and my experience has generally been really good. Well, I've seen the gremlins for sure. The car has only been genuinely immobilized once. Co-parter, my friend. And that was cleared with a quick reboot of the 12-volt. I've done 2 long-distance trips, one from Whitehorse, Yukon, down to Vancouver for the Everything Electric show in September. When the show was over, I drove to see a family in Saskatchewan before returning to the Yukon for a total of almost 8,000 kilometers in 10 days. The second week of October, I drove from Whitehorse to Yellowknife to relocate, and that was almost 2,500 kilometers more. The car was fine, though, and the sparse charging infrastructure in the northern Alberta was a little scary. Well, I'm glad you enjoy yours. I didn't say they were all bad. I just said it was a bad deal. Edmund says they hate it. So the driving dynamics of the car are fantastic. Stable and surprising cornering. Cornering on an American car is interesting. American muscle sedan, like that car and the Model S. The Model 3 performance is a different beast. It's more of that European style. Rides are great. Digital experience isn't awesome, but Apple CarPlay support makes up for a lot. And just about every day I get compliments from strangers. I mean, it does look nice and sound nice. If you're into sound. In the long run, and not sound like from the sound system, but sound from people who don't like quiet cars. In the long run, I suspect that the Daytona EV is just going to be discontinued. Pre-Trump, there were incentives for Stellantis to at least sell their own EVs instead of getting a credit from Tesla. But there's no longer a penalty for coming about short on the ZEV targets. I don't know if that's true. At least not everywhere. They are still on the hook to buy lots of credits from Tesla. I don't see Dodge caring about this car anymore, and that's sad. Lee, happy Sunday. Good to see you. Yes. Adventure in Red says, I don't want to take away from your own experience, but the Charger EV was one of the worst new cars I've ever driven. Nothing about it was impressive. Like I told you guys, the numbers don't add up. Get a Model 3 performance. Get a truck. Get any of the European performance EVs and save money and have more fun. Anyway, I mean, if you like it, you like it. Just do what you like, but heeding that warning would have saved you guys from some of those issues that Edmunds found. Nothing about it was impressive. The way it drove, rode, handled, accelerated, or even feels as far as quality materials are concerned. Yeah, Dodge isn't known for quality interior materials. It gets destroyed by much less expensive cars like a Model 3 Performance, and it feels absolutely massive on the road, both in width and in length. It's nearly as long as a BMW 7 Series. Oh, I didn't realize that. Wow. As the BMW 7 Series was a decade ago. And it was long and large back then. And it weighs an obscene amount. The thing is way overpriced. Charging performance is pitiful, and it doesn't do one thing it should do. The one thing it should do, which is at least drive like a sports car. The software feels atrocious, and it's clearly not designed around an EV platform. It's just a reskinned ICE infotainment system, and it shows how bad the lack of real route planning is. Wow. Tell us how you really feel. I agree the Daytona EV is going to be killed off, and it wouldn't even surprise me if they end up killing the entire Charger line, as I don't even think this inline-six engine will be enough to make up for all the poor decisions that were made when engineering this car. Oof. Ouch. The old Challenger, was already too big for a muscle sports car. And what did they do? Made it the better part of a foot longer and even wider, heavier, and less nimble. Wow. It also is insane that they didn't even bother to put an electronically configured rear differential to help it at least rotate a little and maximize the understeer, of which there's tons. They did put a mechanical limited slip differential, but it doesn't have any torque vectoring capability, which is a real shame. My local dealership has been unable to sell their single charger EV in over 8 months on sale. Nobody wants it. 8 months means they've put it on sale before. Ooh, even with a discount, they can't get rid of it. What's even scarier is the new Alfa Romeo lineup is supposed to be based on the same platform. Uh-oh. If they launch the new Giulia and Stelvio, that weighs nearly 3 tons, 200 inches long, and as wide as a truck, it'll be a complete flop. Yeah, you can't have anything as wide as a truck in Europe, on the whole. Because if you're afraid to take it on the road, turn it. Just look at the BMW as designed with their new class architecture. All cylindrical cells, infotainment concept, next generation motors designed in-house, which 0 rare earth magnets, and 400 kilowatts charging. This is the type of platform that would have underpinned the Charger EV and future Alpha models, not the half-baked garbage they ended up giving us. Fair points. All right, that person is scamming. This person is scamming. The trading credits is over, so Elon the welfare queen doesn't get any more free money. That is incorrect, Tony. The rest of the world still has cap and trade. So Stellantis is still on the hook with their contract. Encourage people in LLC proprietary business to get the most efficient vehicle that meets their needs. Use the gas guzzler tax. Raise the minimum MPG to 40. No more footprint BS. Make the tax big enough to have buyer pay attention. A tax cannot be counted on the basis of the car for depreciation calculation. So there will never be. So there maybe will be fewer 100-pound real estate agents riding around in Ford Explosions Chevy Suburban. All right, I'll give you some of that. Let's go on to the next one. Skipping the Edmunds YouTube video. Pre-recall notice, maybe? Let's see. Tesla Cybertruck's glued-on light bars are falling off, so here comes another recall. Oh, no, it is a recall. Full recall. Here's our recall segment, folks. Tesla Cybertruck glued-on light bars are falling off, so here comes another recall. Tesla is recalling 6,000 trucks after it received more than 600 warranty claims about detaching off-road light bars. So fully 10% of the recalled population. I read the assembly instructions, and it was basically just 3M tape. So either the bottom of the light bar was not properly prepared to receive the 3M adhesive, or the windshield was not properly prepared to receive it, or they used the wrong class of 3M adhesive, or all three. And only 6,000 people bought light bars. Cyberbeast came with it. So, of the 6,000, how many were Cyberbeasts? And how many were optional add-ons? And is it the whole of the fleet? Tesla has the 10th recall for Cybertruck. The optional off-road light bar can detach from the windshield because service techs didn't read the instructions carefully. Okay, that was another one I didn't. I guess it would qualify for not prepared properly, but I was blaming the factory. Yeah, if the shop didn't do it right, that'll do it too. So these 6,000 could be the ones that were not done at the factory, or they could be just particular shops, or people who were determined to not be following the instructions. I don't know. The LED light bar is attached to the Cybertruck with adhesive. Yes, I said that. The Tesla has issued another recall and bringing the total 10. The issue lies with the optional off-road light bar that was only installed at Tesla service centers for owners who bought the limited edition Foundation series right after deliveries of the truck began in late 2023. LED light bar. What happened to the laser light bar? But it's just LED. You could have got one of the Chinese ones, no problem. The LED light bar has been a little controversial, much like the pickup truck is installed on for the get-go. Lead service centers, across the country has been installed using adhesive rather than good old mounting hardware. I mean, there's nothing wrong with adhesive if done correctly. Moreover, because the floodlight is not approved for road use, Tesla left the task of plugging in to the owner. I mean, yeah. But that was in all of the verbiage, is that they weren't including it. Oops, I didn't want that. I wanted to look at the next set of pictures to see if they had a light bar in there. Now, though, 6197 Cybertrucks are being recalled because the full width light bar may detach, which of course increases the risk of an accident, collision, an incident. In the documents published by the NHTSA, we'll open that up. Tesla said it received 619 warranty claims and one field report related to the delaminating light bar. And that said, the company is not aware of any collisions, injuries, or fatalities related to the issue. The problem stems from the way the optional off-road light bar was attached to the vehicles, as well as tweaks made by Tesla to the mounting instructions, which were likely not followed by the service technicians who tackled the jobs. First, detaching light bars were noticed in February. Then Tesla updated the installation to clearly state what primer. Okay, so there was primer. Primer should be used on each part. But even so, it was later discovered that technicians continued to ignore the manual. That's not good. According to the manufacturer, 2 products have to be used before mounting the light bar. Beta Prime should only go on the windshield, while Beta Seal should only be applied to the optional floodlight itself. To fix the issue, Tesla will inspect vehicles with the optional light bar for delamination or damage. If either is present, the light bar will be replaced with a new unit, which will be installed with tape and a positive mechanical attachment. Sounds like a screw. Where are they going to screw it to? Oh, that's offered a discount on a hard drive. Let's see if it's a good deal. To fix the issue, Tesla will inspect vehicles with the optional light bar for delamination damage. And if either is present, it will be replaced with a new unit, which will be installed with tape and positive mechanical. If there is no damage or delamination, technicians will retrofit a bracket that mechanically anchored to the vehicle's body, and if necessary, an adhesive tape. Using an adhesive isn't anything new in the auto industry. Automakers use high-grade adhesive to bond structural components, so they can replace nuts and bolts. It just needs to be installed properly. All right, let's see these comments. Tesla somehow made a vehicle worse than the DeLorean. Without checking, I bet it's outsold the DeLorean many times over. I think that's probably accurate. World's toughest truck. Well, I can't think of any modern car that's faced 10% failure rate of any component, and that's just what Tesla is admitting to. 600 complaints versus 6,000 light bars sold likely means that the real number is higher, and Tesla may as well just go ahead and scrap this before recalls get even worse. Jump into conclusions. Huh. So I'm not logged in, but I am logged in. Make it make sense, Motor One. Not sure why the numbers matter here. Sales numbers are proxy for value. Really enjoy scamming. Scamming some more. Should I? Yeah, let's report these scammers. Report. Add a marketing. Go. Same for this one. Go. I'm glad it's a 2-click. If it was many more, I wouldn't bother. What is this? The 8 recall in less than 2 years? I was 3 years old. I don't know. But they said 10 in the article. Another grubby scammer. Oh, hey, John. John of Toyota Land, the BZ4X. Truly remarkable how much Toyota gets attacked for wheels falling off. Taunts when no wheels actually ever fell off. No wheels fell off for the customers. They wouldn't have done the recall if the wheels weren't falling off. There was a manufacturing issue. Surface was too smooth. That allowed the lug bolts to loosen, and only 3 vehicles worldwide actually had that happen. So did it happen or not happen, John? Meanwhile, Tesla was praised as the mighty EV industry leader, far superior to Toyota. I don't know if that's accurate either. Yet their latest offering has been plagued with quality and safety issues. Guzzles, it's a big old pickup truck. It's going to guzzle electricity and has lost its audience. I don't know that that's the fault of the truck as much as it was other factors. I would hope this works out to be an equalizing series of events where the field is leveled and enthusiasts finally acknowledge who the competition really is. It ain't Toyota, Kia, Honda, Chevrolet. Yeah. Still respect you, my friend. Still respect you. But it's not Toyota. We need a variety of choices, especially entry level models, not the extreme Cybertruck turned out to be. We need them all. We need them all. So anyway, moving on to the next one. Let's look at this recall document. Although I think the article covered it all for us. Oh, the screen's off again. All right. Yeah, let's look at this one, please. Off-road light bar may detach and become a road hazard. Components, exterior lighting, manufacturer Tesla Inc. 25 Victor 735 50,000. Text is so small. Potential numbers of units affected 6197. Tesla's recalling certain 2024 Cybertruck vehicles equipped with surface installed off-road light bar accessory. An incorrect surface primer may have been used to attach the light bar to the windshield, causing the light bar to loosen and detach. Tesla's service will inspect the light bar and install additional mechanical attachment or replace the light bar using tape and adhere the light bar to the windshield, as well as additional mechanical attachment as necessary, free of charge. You've got your documents there. All right, let's see what they improved about the Ford app for us here today. Ford owners, your app just got better. The redesigned app makes it easier to access climate settings, and there's an updated charging screen. Modernized smartphone app. Gallery redesigned. Multiple vehicles managed by the same account. The car can be nicknamed, and the name will appear in the upper left corner of the app, making it clear which vehicle is being managed and charged. That's good if your cars are the same color, or for some reason it doesn't load the color. Assuming they're the same model. Obviously, if one's a truck and one's a Mustang, then clearly which one you're controlling is there. They overhauled the alert system, renamed Ford app, went live globally earlier this month, and on Apple devices it carries version number 6. Version 6.1 is already live, containing performance improvements and bug fixes. For Android devices, the new app was pushed to the Google Play Store on October 23rd. There we go. Elon Musk mocked the AWS outage, and then my Tesla app stopped working. Thankfully, I didn't notice this one. We use our Tesla app way more than I expected we ever would. Because there were some times where we went down to not really using it at all, and now use it a couple times a week. If I had the phone key, I'd probably use it a lot more than that, but I don't. So, legacy, America's reliable charging network, AWS. Respect for superchargers, billing stations. The app bailed on me. I wasn't alone. Planning to film a 10 to 80% charging test with the Kia with NAC Sport. Plan the drive. Video director, midway supercharger in Harris, New York. I'm going to run the EV9's battery down 10%. Problems with the app actually started the day before. Same day when half the internet called in sick because AWS was having a bad day. A bug in the tech giant's cloud infrastructure took swaths of the internet down. It affected everything from airlines and streaming platforms to payment apps and food delivery services. Musk ridiculed AWS and chanced on how reliable his social media platform X was unaffected by massive outage. His other big app, however, wasn't doing so great. So sounds like the Tesla app was using some AWS or having a coincidental failure. And it sounds like Elon to me, not knowing the ins and outs of all of his products at times. Like the time he told Kevin Papparath that Model X had sport mode, track mode, and it didn't. And I don't think it still does. It didn't on the last one I drove that should have had it, the Plaid X. So the messages are fully encrypted with no advertising hooks or strange AWS dependencies, such that I can't read you the messages even if somebody put a gun to my head. Yeah, but that's X. That's not Tesla app. You can also do file transfers and audio calls. You can do file transfers on X? Why they add that? Oh, part of chat. Chat is not what we're doing here with the spaces. And it's not the instant messages either. Or it's not the DMs, I should say. My Android phone, the Tesla app struggled to load, let alone help me initialize the charging session. The logo appeared and the loading ring spun endlessly. Yeah, I don't app to supercharge, so I would have noticed that. I do need to buy some windshield wipers. Let me do that after this. Hard to say whether AWS was directly caused by Tesla's meltdown. It probably was if they run on AWS. Automaker does hire engineers with AWS cloud infrastructure experience, according to its careers webpage. I mean, I've got AWS experience and I don't use it. Not to administer AWS. I mean, the knowledge is useful for stuff. I've had to reference it several times, but you know. Anyway, night before the test. So this is partly an article about his charging experience and partly ragging on that the app didn't work. AWS is about 40% of the internet, but external vendors and services that many developers and companies use or parts of their stack are often using AWS services. And DNS issues seem to be big problems because people take it for granted. Some of these kids shouldn't be in the roles they're in. Ouch. Yeah, DNS, even inside of my house here, I run 3 DNS servers. And when one of them has a little hiccup, even though I've got 2 others available, some of the services and devices are just little sticks in the mud and won't move over to the other ones I've provided. They do usually get the hint when I power off the broken one, but I shouldn't have to do that, especially if I'm working on the broken one. I shouldn't have to pretend it doesn't have a network connection to get the devices to move over to the other one. There's a reason. They all have spots for 2. Well, I say all. Nearly everything on my network has a spot to give them 2 DNS server addresses. Some allow me to put 3 or 4. I only run 3. And so those ones, I put all 3 in there. And yet some of these devices say, oh, well, I want to use number 7. And 7 is still alive. So I'm going to wait for number 7. It's like, why don't you use number 53 or the backup? We don't feel like it. Internet's down. Like, no, the internet's not down. I wouldn't be talking to you if the internet was down. So you can't blame the kids for everything. Some of it, old fogies did. Pretty soon I'll be a protected class and I won't be able to be age discriminated. Oh, but not yet. You can still age discriminate against me all you wish. Timothy, greetings. I saw you sent a message. I didn't respond to it yet because I had that term paper and then the kiddos but I'll get you. Probably after I update this this video I was working on at the beginning of the show before Premiere crashed. Let's see. So yeah, can't only blame DNS being on the young folks. There's a reason this T-shirt's made that say it was DNS again because so often, but it's not always. Your big HR department, the person does imposter syndrome, blah, blah, blah. Tesla to democratize something that sounds like a huge corporation. Their goal is profit, not to democratize anything. And then I'm not going to load into the comments to go block that person, but let's go to the next thing. Share this tab instead, close that one. So Scott would love that video I watched yesterday of the guy who touchscreened his fun car in England there. Why Scout's new cars will have good old buttons. Scout CEO hates that everything is 8 layers down. Now plans to change that. Oh, Scout. I'm sitting here thinking Slate. The whole time I'm sitting there thinking Slate. I'm like, that's a little fancy for Slate. And Slate and Scout are different companies. One is by Bezos and Co., and the other is by Volkswagen and Co. and Rivian. Scott Keogh isn't impressed by the massive screens and lack of buttons in new cars. He implies that buttons and tactile materials need to make a comeback, and that's exactly what Scout's trying to do. So there's nothing wrong with buttons. The problem is when your cockpit looks like a 747 and there's buttons and knobs and switches for everything, when some of the stuff that's used once in the lifetime of the car can be part of the menu system. Quieter, saver, blah, blah. So this one is not as impressive to me anymore. I was thinking of Slate when I clicked on the article. So never mind. He comes off pretentious, but he has a point. BYD Racco. This electric K car will lead BYD's Japanese Blitz. Updated. So let's see what the update is. But as I said earlier, it's a shot across the bow of the Japanese. They love their K cars. Will be the world's first K car not made by a Japanese manufacturer, but we already know what it's going to look like every other K car, but with the BYD signature. I mean, for a K car, it's quite pretty. Let's see. Photos of the K car Racco will go on sale in the middle of next year and will only be available in Japan. Ooh. While the Racco BYD had its sights on Japan's best-selling EV, the Nissan Sakura, another electric K car. This year will be the stage for a very special automotive reveal. Update Wednesday 29. The story has been updated with photos from the show. Okay, so they wrote this before being able to see it. I mean, it's got some style to it. As much as the K car, you want to maximize your volume, so you get boxes. But you can put little artsy details on your box. This is a van, actually. This is a sliding door. See that? Huh. Interesting. The 4-door configuration with sliding rear doors, which facilitates second row access, particularly in tight spaces where there wouldn't be enough space to swing open a regular door. The size restrictions for K cars are meant to make them as easy as possible to live with in urban Japan. Plus, manufacturers want to maximize interior room within the footprint, so they'll end up looking very similar. The grille in the front is completely closed off, but somewhere behind it is an electric motor that has to be legally restricted to 63 horsepower. No word yet on the specs, but it's expected to have a 20 kilowatt hour battery with a claimed range of 112 miles. I suspect it's that small because their customers in these cars won't be driving too much because they can just take a train if they need to go far. And with the current battery tech to be much larger than 20 kilowatt hours, will eat into the cabin volume. And I've got just over 20 kilowatt hours of lithium iron phosphates in the garage there. And yeah, they're packed in extra protective shells, but they take up a lot of space. So, and these are what 2020 technology, 2019, 2018. So they have gotten smaller since then, but not much, like 5% per year. So yeah. So if I put those into a K car, you would have room for just the driver, or maybe the driver and a passenger. I guess if I laid them all down and they didn't need ventilation, they would just take up all the cargo and much of the rear passenger space. Yeah. All right. Congrats to them. Fun fact: this is incorrect. Smart built and sold a version of its 4.2 that fit into the K car classifications in Japan. Oh, clever. There were some European microcars that fit in the K2. They were bought in by small importers, but I guess they weren't K specific. Oh, well, the Smart was just a narrower version of an existing car, not a purpose-built K car. I think that makes it different. Perhaps. Scammers. Looks a lot like the N box. Should help them sell more. I just don't think it's discounted enough for most Japanese to look at it seriously versus known domestic brands. There may be more to it. Okay, moving on to the next one. All right, so we talked about how solar directly on the vehicle, unless it's something like an Aptera, doesn't make sense for the cost and the weight and everything. But an expanding solar does make a difference. And Nissan Sakura, we just talked about in the K car situation, has an extending solar roof that could add a surprising amount of EV range. That one definitely looks like a Nissan. Yeah. So sure, it looks like a giant sunshade, but getting 36 miles of free EV range per week sounds great though. And if it is a giant sunshade as well, it helps protect the interior of the vehicle. Not that the Japanese keep their cars long enough that sun damage will be a concern. Nissan reveals a bolt-on solar charging roof for its best-selling Sakura electric K car. So why bolt-on? Why not just do it from the factory as an option? But with it being bolt-on, you can put it on the base model too. 36 or so miles of electricity can provide per week is enough to meet the needs of many of their drivers. The last thing you'd expect to see on top of any tiny Nissan is a solar panel array. But Nissan now offers one. While it does make a tall and narrow car look even more top-heavy, it also promises to add a lot of free range per year, as long as the sun is out, of course. It looks like it only extends forward, which is a choice. Because if you're parking at some place where, like, say you're going to the beach or whatever, you don't need a full K car spot, you can make it take up a full parking space and get even more range. We saw with that guy who did on his Model 3, for instance. And I think the same guy on his Model Y when he upgraded. And then any number of other people who did the expanding solar situation. Night, 0 watts. Rainy, 80 watts. Windy, 300 watts. Sunny, 500 watts. Oh, it's less because the panel's closed. I was like, what does the wind have to do with solar? But a nice sunny day without too much wind. With the panel extended. Okay, so why would the panel not be open on a rainy day? Get it to 100 watts, huh? Speaking of panels and watts, how are we doing here? We're at 91.29. Looks like clouds combined, we're only pushing 70 watts into the battery. So we could go on battery, but the other battery might try and step in. It's at 78%, so we could take it. Oh, 87% chance of rain. So it must be really cloudy out. Anyway, which is 4 kilowatt hours more than the original Mitsubishi iMIV. It goes a lot further in one charge. Probably more efficient. We've got way improved electronics since then. You can buy one of these cars in Japan for just 2.54 million yen, which is just under 17,000 at the current exchange rates. Not bad. Nissan didn't show how much this solar power solution will cost, but it should shed more light when it's officially shown in public this week. Well, the more they sell, the lower they can go on the price. It doesn't look bad. Hopefully they don't use music. Let's see. And they do. So let's turn on captions. Oh, that's not helpful. Sorry. I thought they would auto translate it. They did not. Can I set my captions? Audio track 2 is English. Yeah, why not use that? We are on audio track 2. Let's see.
Extender is an electric sliding solar panel. It closes when driving, and when parked, it spreads out and generates electricity over a large area.
Okay. I like that, but I want no music. They only have auto-generated Japanese. They don't have. All right, so we're just gonna look at the pictures of it doing its thing then. All right. So if it's like, looks like they're using a linear actuator or some gears, but if it's controlled by the car for the weather, or if it's got its own connection to the 4G, 5G, that's not so bad. But I also wonder if you can salvage it when the car is done. Not say put on another car, but like, why throw it away? All right, so this is clearly that one's a prototype for sure, but they've got clearly a bunch of different versions. Can I say at least 3? Oh, there's a leaf. Okay. And the leaf had a solar panel on it too, but it did nothing more than top up the 12-volt battery. Well, if this goes well, we could expect Nissan to do more solar on their EVs going forward. And they may go with a larger footprint, like I said, take up a whole parking spot. That would be fun. All right, so I'm going to open this in a new window too, because I would like to hear what they say. It's just the music situation. Nissan's idea with solar array is to reduce dependence on charging infrastructure, adding that driving data shows that many primarily travel short distances for errands and school runs, suggesting that the solar-generated power could nearly eliminate the need for grid charging for a significant portion of their owners. If they park outside in the sun, though, if they park it in a rack-em stacker, they would need to get the top shelf. If they park in a parking garage, well, they would need to park on the top. Let's see the comments. This is the next big deal. Solar panel can unfold backwards and to the side. That's what I just said. Take the whole spot. Will become tandem mono SI pescovite for instance. Okay. Many people are more law-abiding in Japan, but if you tried something like that here, I'd expect the extended panel would be broken off by vandals within a week. Be like what? Like that? That being the car? I don't think so. Then as others have noted, Japan's not California when it comes to solar insulation. Without knowing how many average annual kilowatt hours a day, a meter squared they get, there's no way to know how realistic this is. Does it really matter as long as it's not overpriced? Every little bit helps. Checking some insulation maps, Japan seems to top out at 4.2 to 4.4 kilowatt hours range, which much of it is in the 2.6 to 3.4 range, while average annual insulation in California is more to the 5 to 5.5 range, with southeastern deserts at 6.1 to 7. So if it works in Japan, then you can use it elsewhere, then is what you're saying. Also, are there really that many people in Japan who average just over 5 hours, just over 5 miles a day in driving? Good question. It depends on the prefecture. They have some that are quite walkable and some that are very car dependent, as we saw with the deep dive into the walkable cities in South Korea that some folks did that were not quite so walkable. Not all of them, but they found that some of them were just downright car dependent. A 17K, what's to sneeze at? I would get one in a hot New York minute. All right, and last one for today before we go take them shopping is the Slate truck will get Tesla supercharger access. Slate customers will be able to use the vast supercharger network to fill their truck, to fill up their little trucks. So I see it's big enough for CCS2, but it's holding max, so they might be planning something, or if it's just being future forward. But at the same time, though, look at the lid. The lid only really has enough for NACS. It doesn't have enough for CCS. Interesting. Slate truck will be able to charge at superchargers announced on Tuesday. Welcome to the Supercharger Coalition, Slate. And since it comes from the factory with the Tesla-style North American charging standard port, owners will be able to plug in without a dongle. It's a 2026 plus model year, is it not? What's more, Slate's NACS port is situated on the driver's side rear of the truck, just like in Tesla. So drivers will be able to park normally, unless they're towing. Slate is among the latest in a long line of manufacturers adopted for the NACS port. 120 kilowatt charging, that's not bad. It's about like an original Tesla. Well, pretty early on into the original Teslas. The originals were 90, but 120 came up right after. So it's tough to say how owners will hit up superchargers or fast charging stations. Zoki Zuma says, not sure it's the best choice for this vehicle. Tesla normally backs into the stalls, have excellent backup camera and a screen. Slate will have some sort of backup camera. It has to, it's by law. It's required there, he says it. But I'm sure it's not going to be anywhere near as good. It might have been more convenient to have that port on the front right corner instead. Agreed? Because then you wouldn't have to worry about towing in the front right. Doesn't matter, they won't sell more than a handful of these things before pivoting to the less stripped down base features that are going out of business. Unfortunately, Dave is right. Historically, Florida Man says most people who buy these will not be charging at a supercharger. Backing up isn't that difficult with mirrors, as anyone will tell you who has an older vehicle. This is still good to have access to Tesla superchargers, as I don't know how a company could release an EV today and not have access. It would be surprising if it didn't at this point, but I bet most of these things won't use public DC fast charging much unless they're used by people who live in apartments. I'd imagine that most fleets would get some kind of place to AC charge and maybe private DC fast charge. So now I want to know. Slate. Pickup. Towing capacity. 1,000 pounds. It's still a pickup truck, but that's like a Model 3, 1,500 pounds. Hopefully that number comes up. All right, so with that, like I said, I was working on getting Highlander's name on the outro, but as Andrew saw, the computer was fighting me the whole way. And so what we will do is I will catch you guys on the flip side. I want to thank everybody for participating. I want to thank all of our members for your monetary contributions. I again want to continue to thank Zach for his donations as he's able to provide them, like he did last week. That was very helpful. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your time and your patience putting up with me because, well, it was another case of the computer fighting us all the way through the show. And I'll catch you next week on the flip side. Also see you for the Tesla Live Express tomorrow and the Tesla Live show on Wednesday. And I guess I can find out how I did on that term paper sometime this week. Hopefully I passed. So, sayonara.